That's kind of how a bad shoe fit feels. A bad shoe fit can be a disaster for a runner. It not only slows you down, but it can also be a recipe for injuries. Blisters, black toenails, foot pain and fatigue, early cramps. It can be a horror movie for your feet, especially if you are going for that long run. An average shoe with a great fit can always give you a better running experience than a great shoe with a bad fit. Today, the Running Doc is going to help you find the perfect running shoe fit so you can run pain-free and happy. Let's go. Precisely, the best fit for a shoe is a shoe that feels like an extension of your feet. It moves as one with your feet without any shaking or wobbliness. Firmly secured but comfortable. It is that shoe fit that lets you run without even thinking about your feet or shoes. So you can completely forget you are wearing shoes and just concentrate on running in comfort. On the flip side, a bad fit isn't just annoying. It can mess up your running form, slow you down, and even cause injuries. So in order to get this, the first thing to do is to know your size. Chances are that most people already know their shoe size, but in case you keep having issues with your sizes, the best things to do is to measure your feet. The best practice is to go to a running store or running lab and get the professionals to measure your foot. But in case you can't do that, you can also measure your feet at home. One of the simplest ways by yourself, you can stand on a piece of paper like I did on this, put my feet on this piece of paper and then use pen or pencil and then trace my toes and also trace my heel. Measure the two widest points. Measure the length from here to here, that is your foot length. If you measure without the socks, when you put on the socks, the length will now be more. So it's advised to measure your feet with your most commonly used running socks. Now also measure the 2 feet and use the larger one. One other thing is to measure your feet in the evenings because the feet swell during the day, and when you are running, especially if you are going for long runs, your feet also swell. So if you use that early morning feet, you may find that your shoes will be too tight. When you've done your accurate measurement, you add at least half an inch to it, and that is your running shoe size. Because you don't want a running shoe that your feet is touching the tip of the shoe. We always like to have a small space at the tip of your running shoes. Armed with this, you go to the size chart and then find the length that is closest to your foot length, and that's the size that you should buy. Now, sizes of shoes vary among brands. Nike, Under Armour, New Balance, On, and Saucony have similar EU and US sizes, whereas Puma and Reebok have the same EU sizes. For instance, I wear a Nike 45, but I wear a Reebok and Puma 44.5. Adidas, on the other hand, is on its own, with so much of 2/3 and 1/3 added to their sizes. But one thing among all these shoes is that their US sizes are the same. So that's why most of the time I just go with the US size. Some people advocate measuring your feet yearly, or maybe every couple of years because it's changing. But if your feet begin to change, if you notice that the size that you used to wear is no longer feeling comfortable, then that might be an indication for you to remeasure your feet. Many people also suggest measuring your shoe width, but unfortunately for most running shoes, they have only one shoe width. Some brands also have the wide, and even fewer have the extra wide versions. How do you know that your feet is wide? Empirically, if you are putting your foot into a shoe, you have unlaced the shoe properly and it's not entering, while your feet have not reached even close to the tip of the shoe, but it cannot enter again. It shows that your feet is probably too wide for that shoe. If there's no wide or extra wide version in that model and you want it, the best way is to go one size up to check if that one will fit. Some people also have high arch. It's not that their feet is too wide, but their arch is high. So the distance from the sole to the top of their foot is higher than other people. So some of them may also have difficulty in putting their feet into regular size shoes. So now that you've gotten your perfect shoe size, what are the things that you should test when you are trying to check the fit of a running shoe? The first thing is the shoe length. We are talking of the length of the shoe from back to front. The length of your shoe should be enough to accommodate your feet very nicely and leave at least half a thumb's breadth at the tip of your running shoes. For most people, it takes 1,000 steps to make 1 kilometer. Now, if your feet is touching the tip here and it keeps rubbing it up and 1,000 times, you will notice that it's no fun. The width of your shoes in the toe box should be enough for your feet to be able to wiggle, but it will not be so wide that your feet can move left and right inside the shoe. It should just be enough for you to have that wiggle room without leaving much space on both sides. Another thing to check in your shoe fit is the lockdown. Heel lockdown, midfoot grab here. The lockdown is one of the most important fittings of a shoe. It should be firm but comfortable. That is what makes your shoe move as one with your feet. So when you've done this, and the shoe now fits nicely, it's time for comfort test. The biomechanics for running and walking are entirely different. So the fact that your shoe is comfortable for walking doesn't make it comfortable for running. What are you checking out? As you jump around, you want to see how good this shoe feels. How comfortable is it? Is it moving as one with your feet? Are there any hot spots? Any place is impinging a little can become a real problem by the time you go many kilometers. One thing you must not forget when you are lacing up the shoes is also the tongue. If it is too short that it slips down, is it thick enough? When you tight your laces firmly, does it feel comfortable? Because if it is too thin or too short that it slips away, these laces can actually cause abrasion on the front of your ankle by the time you go 5-10 kilometers. It has happened to me before. What are the signs that a shoe is not fitting nicely? If you're having blisters or you feel like burning, especially under the ball of your feet, likely that shoe is too wide. That is the kind of injury you get when your feet slides inside the shoe. If you are also running and you can feel your feet shifting left, right, because that shoe is too large for you, the next thing that will result is this burning or blisters under the ball of your feet, like I'm talking about here. What about when it is too tight? The first thing that can happen is black nails, toe blisters. Another thing too which you might notice is tingling or numbness on especially the toes. So guys, I think that's about this. What's your biggest shoe fit struggle? So drop a comment below guys if you found this helpful, or even if you have some advice to also give to other runners. We appreciate you for all that. And of course, hit the like button, share the video, and thanks for watching. By the way, it's Dr. CY once again signing off, and see you in the next one.